Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to crochet this Pokemon Venusaur. This is part of a 3-series tutorial where I show you how to crochet the 3 evolutions of Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. And in this video I'll be showing you how to crochet Venusaur. So if you haven't already checked, you can check out my introduction on my Bulbasaur video where I introduce all 3 evolutions. But in this video we're going to be working on Venusaur. So the materials I used for Venusaur is ice and spring green in a size 3 yarn from Cascade Ultra Pima. Here is the label, Cascade Yarns Ultra Pima. It is a size 3 yarn in moisturized cotton, meaning that it provides a little extra shine to the Amigurumi that you are making. I also used a black and a Lotus color in Paton's Grace for the eyes, and I also used a little white dot in paint to create a shine for the eyes and the Lotus color for the petals. I used a regular sewing needle with regular black sewing thread to create the nostrils, a size 2.5mm crochet hook for this size 3 yarn, and a tapestry needle to sew in my ends. I also used a cocoa color and a sunshine color. Cocoa was used for the stem of the flower and sunshine was used for the crown of the flower. And for the little dots on the petals, I used Payne's Grace size 3 yarn in a peach color. For the little dots, you can also substitute it for regular sewing thread if you have that instead. So you will also need stuffing. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please check out my other videos on my channel and subscribe for more tutorials. Now let's get started on Venusaur. If you like, you can also check out the other videos on Bulbasaur and Ivysaur. I do have those on my channel. Again, full step-by-step tutorials. Here we are for Venusaur. The body is done the exact same way as Bulbasaur and Ivysaur, as I mentioned before. The face is slightly different. We have eyelids on the face. Nostrils are the same. And we do not have spots on Venusaur. And of course we have this flower that we're going to create. So we're going to create this flower first. The flower consists of the stem, followed by the crown. Then we have the petals with some lighter pink dots on the petals. And then we have the leaves. Okay, so you're going to need brown, pink, light pink, yellow, and green for this flower for Venusaur. Here is my body. I've completed the body the exact same way as I did Bulbasaur and Ivysaur, and we're ready to attach the flower now. So let's start creating the flower. For the flower, we are going to start off with the stem. So you're going to take your brown yarn, and we are going to work 5 single crochet into a magic ring. So once again, magic ring, take your 2 fingers, yarn over once, twice, go under the first loop, pull the second one through, take your fingers out, hold everything there, chain 1 to secure, and into this magic ring, we're going to do 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull the tail tight, and that closes your magic ring. And here is the first stitch of the round. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For round 2, we are going to do an increase into each stitch all the way around. So we are going to, at the end of round 2, have 10 stitches all the way around. So 2 single crochet into each stitch is an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and then just pull the tail to close that hole in the center. Now for round 3. For round 3, we're going to start marking our round. So attach your placeholder in there, and into the first stitch of the round, we're just going to do 1 single crochet, but we're going to do it in the back loop of this round. So the pattern for round 3 is 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around into the back loop. So remember, each stitch has 2 loops, the front and the back. Into the back loop only a single crochet. And 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around into the back loops. Here we are at the end of round 3. We've worked 1 single crochet into each stitch into the back loops all the way around. Now for round 4 and 5. For round 4 and 5, we are going to work into both stitches like normal, a single crochet. So a normal single crochet into both stitches like normal. So the pattern for 4 and 5 is 1 single chain to each stitch all the way around. Okay, so at the end of round 5, you're still going to have 10 stitches all the way around. I'm going to meet you at the end of round 5. We are at the end of round 5. This is what my piece will look like. As you can see, the stem is pretty much formed. Now we're just going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch of the next round. So round 6, here's the first stitch. We're just going to do a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through, pull through. Okay, now we're going to take out a stitch marker, leave a tail for sewing, cut it, and we're going to stuff the stem, and we're going to attach it to the body like that. So we're going to sew it the same way that we did the bulb and the seed for Bulbasaur and Ivysaur. And once you're done attaching it to the body, I will meet you here. Here we are, I finished my stem. Okay, this is what it looks like. I stuffed it and attached it to the body. Now we're going to work on the crown part of the Venusaur. Okay, so you're going to take your yellow, insert a hook into the front loops of this round that's on the stem. So that's why we worked into the back loops of that particular round, round 3 of the stem, so that it gave us these front loops to work into. So you're going to have 10 loops or all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these loops. So we're going to insert your hook from the bottom up into the stem like that and attach your yellow yarn. So once you insert your hook, you're just going to take your string and then just pull it through like that. And the pattern for round 1 is we're going to do a single crochet into this first stitch. To set it up for that single crochet, we have to chain 1 and then do a single crochet back into that same loop on the stem. And at the same time, I'm going to be working in my yarn. So remember, to work in, you just rest the yarn tail onto the hook as you do your stitches and just complete a single crochet. So into that first stitch, we did chain 1 and a single crochet, and that completes our first single crochet of the round. Now we're going to chain 1, slip stitch into the front loops of that single crochet we just made. So it's very similar to how we did and then we're going to slip stitch. So it's very similar to how we did the Ivysaur green leaves, and the next stitch we're just going to slip stitch. So I'm going to show you again. Right, so remember that pattern is the same as we did the Ivysaur green leaves. So into the next stitch, you're going to single crochet, chain 1, into the front loops of that single crochet we just made, you're going to do a slip stitch. Then into the next stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch. Alright, then into the next stitch we're going to do a single crochet, followed by chain 1, slip stitch into that same single crochet, the front loops that we just created, and slip stitch into the next stitch. Okay, so that's going to be the pattern all the way around. And as you can see, it starts to create the crown. So we're going to do that all the way around. I'll meet you at the end of this round. Here we are at the end of this round. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peaks in this crown, and I've done my last slip stitch, and we're just going to connect it by doing a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. So here's the first single crochet of this round. Just slip stitch into there to connect like that. And then here is our crown. Okay, so we are going to cut the yarn, pull it through, and then we're just going to fasten it off. So we're just going to stick the yarn into the body here too. Okay, so stick it into the body, just out the body here to secure like that. There's your crown. Like so. Okay, Now let's move on to the petals. Here we are for the petals. We're going to make 4 petals and we're going to apply some dots to the petals. So let's start making the petals now. This is the pattern for the petals. So we're going to start off by taking your pink yarn and work 4 single crochet into a ring. One, 2, 3, 4. Pull your tail tight. For round 2, you're going to increase into each stitch. So that's 2 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, which is going to increase your total stitches to 8 stitches at the end of round 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you're going to do for round 3 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then for round 4, we're just going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. So here's the first stitch of the round, just a slip stitch to close. And you're going to pull your tail tight, flip it inside out so that your right side is facing outward. Going to cut your tail. Pull it through. So that's the base of the petal. Attach it to your tapestry needle. So we're going to flatten the petal flat like this. We're going to take our needle, insert your needle into the first stitch, out the second stitch. So we're sewing the 2 ends together. And you're going to sew it to the stem like that. So we're going to sew it in a very similar manner how we did the leaves for Ivysaur. Okay, so you're going to find the part on the stem. Sew it in. Then you're going to take the 2 ends. Here's one end. Here's the other end. Pull it through. Go into the next 2. Attach it to the body here. Go to the last 2, pull it out, and you're going to go into the stem, back to the front here. Just so we're sewing it very similar to how we sewed the leaves onto the body. Then you're going to go out the front. Okay, and then one more time into the stem, out the other end. It's going to sew the corners close to the stem like that, so it's not so bulky. Then go out the next stitch and into the body to secure. Okay, and that's how you sew your petals on. Alright, you're just going to pull it tight and you're going to cut it. And there we have 1 petal complete. Make 4 petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, attach them onto the stem, and I'm going to show you now how to apply the light pink dots. Because they are smaller dots, I want to use a smaller size thread, just because this entire piece is so small. Using a regular sized yarn that's the same size as the body would make it kind of bulky, so I just want to slim it down a bit. By doing that, you can do 2 ways. You can either use a regular sewing needle with regular sewing thread. If you have the same color as this for the dots, you can use that and sew it in. Or if you don't, like me, then I have instead the same size yarn, but because, and I'm going to be using a sewing needle. Because the sewing needle is so small and I want a thinner yarn, I'm actually going to just split the yarn into 3. So if you unravel it, you can find that the yarn is made up into separate individual smaller fibers. I'm going to pull one of those out and we're going to use that to sew. So here I have one of those fibers pulled out and I've attached it to a regular sewing needle, and we're going to sew it onto the petal. So the way we make those dots is, it's similar to the eye but slightly different. So we start off at the bottom of the petal and we work our way into the first spot that we want to attach the first dot. And the dots are just placed randomly, so I have 3 dots per petal just placed randomly throughout it, so it all looks kind of different. And once you go out, you're going to go into the spot like that, where you want the dot to be. Then you're going to wrap your string around it twice. So once, twice. Pull it through. See, and there's our little dot. Now you're just going to push it through the same spot that it came from. Go out to the next spot where you want your next dot to be. There's our dot. It's complete. And do the same thing. Go out to where you want your dot. Wrap it twice around the needle, once, twice. Pull it through. There's our second dot. And we're going to stick it in and apply the third dot over here. One, two. There's our third dot. Now we're just going to stick it into the petal and out one of the holes, like that. Then you're just going to cut it and stick the excess thread inside the petal and you're done. And at the end it's going to look like this for the petal. Okay? So I want you to complete the petals and then we're going to move on to the leaves. Let me show you how to do the leaves now. So for the leaves are done the exact same way as we did Ivysaur's leaves. Alright, so I'm going to have the pattern on the screen. You're just going to follow that the exact same way that we did Ivysaur. If you forgot how to do the pattern, then you can go back to the Ivysaur video where I show you how to do that. But we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves attached in the exact same positions as we did Ivysaur. Nothing has changed. Alright, so you're going to do your petals, you're going to do your leaves, then the flower will be finished, and then we're just going to work onto the face, where I will show you how to do that. Here we are at the end of the flower. This is what it looks like. Okay. So as you can see, I attached my 4 petals. I've added the dots to the petals and I've attached the leaves the exact same way that we did Ivysaur. I started with the eye. The eye for Venusaur is kind of different just because it's droopy eyes. So we're going to add the black to the eyes as well as the eyelids. And that's going to give us the droopiness to it. So I completed one now. Alright, and I'm going to show you how to do the next one. So the next one I started. So for the eye, I attached the black part of the eye under 2 rows of stitches. So unlike Bulbasaur and Ivysaur where we just did 1 row, this one, as you can see, it's 2 rows, 1, 2. And that's going to give us a longer eye. And the reason I want the longer eye is because we're attaching the eyelid. And that's going to have the eye match more evenly with Bulbasaur and Ivysaur's eye sizes. And I'm using the same color thread as I have for the face. Okay? Now, if you're using the same color yarn for the face, then it's probably going to be too thick to fit through the hole of the sewing needle. So that's why, just how I did the pink dots, we're going to open up the fibers and pick one of the fibers out of it and stick that through the needle, and that's what I did here. Okay, so once you've done that, we're going to just go into the head and out half. So half the eye, I'm covering it with eyelid, the other half I'm just leaving it blank like this. Okay, so you're going to go to half of the eye, push it out, and you're just going to go sew it across. Okay, like that. And you're just going to keep sewing up until you cover the half of the eye. Here we have the eye complete, both eyes complete. Now all we have left to do is attach the nostrils using black thread, again just on an angle, and once that's done I will show you the end result of Venusaur.